Well, I guess at Girls Rock Ottawa, we didn't really listen to any of the advice about calling in first. So our experience with accountability is calling out some local music festivals on their lineups, and we did not contact them prior to.
Do you want to give a bit of context for the people who might not be aware?
Okay, so starting last year, we. Can I name the festival? Can we talk about that here?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Bluesfest, Ottawa Bluesfest does their music festival every year, and I
Do you want to like talk about the size of the festival? Maybe that will help.
It's huge. It's like 2 weeks long, and it's like
the biggest festival in Ottawa.
Oh, is it? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And one of the bigger ones in Canada too. But like every year, it's like the same. It's like a bunch of. It's like. The same, okay, yeah, whatever. It's a bunch of white dudes running the thing. And it's the same type of lineup, and like first you're like, okay, whatever. But I remember last year I was looking at it, and the lineup came out, and I was trying to find the women on the lineup, and I was like, okay, first line, okay, nobody. Second line, nobody. And it was like,
and for people who are not familiar with the way that lineup for festival posters are made, the first line is like the bigger names, like the people who are headlining. Second line is like people who are, I don't want to say lesser important, but like who have less time.
But basically to the organizers in a way. And I love looking at festival lineups because it's almost like the festival gave us their org chart. And so it's a great way to visually represent our point. So we looked at it, and I didn't see a woman until I think the third line, and it was like Jessie Reyes or something like that. I'm like, she should be on the first line, but okay, whatever. And so I started looking, and I started doing analysis of like all the bands.
Tiffanie came in with the facts. I remember reading the article, so many receipts.
Oh yes, I'm all about the numbers. So, and that helps with the accountability thing. You're like, I'm not saying this, the numbers are saying this.
You're objectively wrong.
Yeah, exactly. It's not me. So we counted each band and determined, and this took a lot of research because you had to look up the bands to try to find articles to see what people's pronouns were to make sure, because that's we're taking some liberties, right? And it's you're opening yourself up to some criticism, but we tried to find at least, like if there was at least one female or gender non-conforming person in the band, and we found that of that first festival lineup announcement, only 25% of the bands had at least one female on there.
And that's a 2 weeks long festival.
Yeah. So that meant 75% of the bands on that poster were all dudes. So we posted this.
My favorite gender.
Yeah. So we posted this. I remember just like talking about being the first person to go up against that 6-foot guy. It's the same. It's that anxiety. I remember just being like. So what I did was we made the list, and I had been inspired by something I've seen, I think on Huffington Post or something, where they blacked out all the names that didn't have at least one female in the band. So I was like, okay, let's do that. And I literally did it on my phone. I had Adobe Photoshop open, and I with my finger, I colored all of the things out, and I kept being like, I think I'm making a mistake because all the names were disappearing, especially from the top. And it was actually shocking. It was the placement of where the women were in the festival poster too was all the bottom and to the bottom right. So finally I was like, okay, I guess this is it. And then you have this poster, and I remember we wrote up a little thing calling Bluesfest out, and I remember being like, are we gonna post this? And I called one of the comms team. This is where having that team again really helps, because I called them oh shit, are we gonna do this? I remember wanting to press post, and I was like, no. I'm like, we can't do this. And I remember my team member was like, we have to. This is our mandate. And having that too, we have a very clear mandate and vision. And so I remember just all right, post. And I think I threw my phone across the room and didn't look at it for a couple of hours, and then came up and it exploded. And so actually a couple of weeks later, we actually got a call from Bluesfest, and they wanted to.
How did that call go?
It went. Yeah, these are things people don't actually know, but we actually got a call from Bluesfest, and they wanted to work with us, but it was to volunteer at City Folk. And I thought about
We're gonna talk about the volunteer work later.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can go on to
essentially, we had to say no. As much as like we appreciated it, I had to say no because the city folk music lineup wasn't any better. So so that was 1 year, and then the second year, this year, it was the lineup improved, and so we did say actually like, hey, thanks for improving it.
Do you know how much it improved?
I think it got to about 45%. Yeah, but one thing we did notice was the top half. So what they did do, though, I noticed they were being slightly sneaky, is they added all the local acts into the poster, which they didn't for the first one last year. So it's a bigger selection, sample size. And we're getting all scientific up in here, but
I'd love to see it.
It's a larger sample size, so that, but you will notice that the top half, if you do just cut the poster in half, the top half was 35% of bands that had at least one female, and the bottom half was 55%. So at the same time, if this is your organizational chart, all your CEOs are still white dudes, is basically what it told us. So we said, like, thanks for improving, but we would like to see more females, especially headliners. There was still no female headliner. Yeah, so that is kind of our experience with accountability, trying to call out institutions, which is actually really scary as well.
Which is different than calling out individuals.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I understand why you took a completely different route.
Yeah. I don't think they would have answered. They were like, hey, they sent an email. We'd really like to see more. Yeah, so I think we kind of felt like we had to. Like, they wouldn't have paid attention to us either otherwise.